Greetings. It was Nelson Mandela the Great who once said that it always looks impossible until it is done. And when we said we were going to drive through 39 African countries over 40,000 kilometers, people thought we were crazy. They thought we were out of our minds. They thought it was impossible and that we were going to get either killed or get kidnapped along the way. But with the African spirit and resilience, we started the journey from Accra, drove to Togo, then Benin, then Nigeria, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea. Then we drove from Equatorial Guinea to the Republic of Gabon. Then from Gabon, we drove to Republic of Congo. Then we drove to DRC. Then Angola, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho. Then we drove to Eswatini from Lesotho. Then to Mozambique, and from Mozambique we went to Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, all exclusively by road, proving that it is possible for Africans to travel by land within Africa, defying all odds. From Kenya, we flew to Morocco, then to Algeria, and Mauritania had refused us visa because the plan was to drive, from North Africa to West Africa, and so we had to fly to Senegal, and from Senegal we drove to Gambia, and then we drove to the Republic of Guinea, then we drove to Sierra Leone, Liberia, and now we are in the Ivory Coast. And later today, we would begin our journey back to Accra, arriving tomorrow morning at 10 at the Independence Square, where we hope to address the media, about this epic journey. There's still a lot of work to be done. This is not the end of our campaign for a united and visa-free Africa. We've got reports to submit to various stakeholders, and we are hoping that all of us would continue the conversation. Because you see, my friends, the future and prosperity of Africa rests with African nationals being able to travel freely without restrictions, being able to access opportunities, being able to trade amongst ourselves, being able to explore each other's cultures and each other's countries. And with visa restrictions, it makes it so difficult for mobility, for people to move and trade, and explore each other's countries. So what we've been doing over the last 155 days is, meeting heads of government, various stakeholders, and making a passionate appeal that the time is now. And certainly, the message has gone down very well. I am confident that some countries would heed to the call in the next couple of years. Our target is to have the whole of Africa being visa-free by 2030. So I say to the African leaders and the people of Africa, it has to start. Countries that are ready would have to go ahead, and when others see the benefits of a visa-free policy, I believe they would follow suit. So far, I need to commend Seychelles, I need to commend the Republic of Gambia, I need to commend Rwanda, Kenya, I need to commend the Republic of Benin. These are the 5 countries where every African national can pick their passport and go to, without being required, to submit visas or apply for visas. And I think this is the way Africa has got to go. And we are confident that when we open up, when Africa is open to African nationals, we'll be able to create opportunities, we'll be able to create jobs for Africa's teeming youth, we'll be able to create prosperity. And so this has to be done, and there's no time, especially now when, the rules-based order has been thrown to the dogs, when there's little respect for international law. This is the time that Africans have got to work together. This is the time that Africans have got to rise to the occasion and seize the moment and make things happen for our African, brothers and sisters. And we're also hoping that by opening up, we'll be able to promote intra-Africa tourism, because we've got to learn about each other's cultures and countries. And we've also depended heavily on our natural resources. And sometimes when the prices of these natural resources plummet, when they fall, when they go down, it throws the budget of respective governments out of gear. So Africa has got to diversify. And by diversification, we'll be able to absorb the shocks from, our inability to access revenue from our natural resources. The potential for our continent is enormous. I've seen a lot of things, that I didn't know about my own continent. And I think that we would have to make this happen for the benefit of our future. One final thing, the cost of travel in Africa is so expensive, whether by land or by air. And we are hoping that, Africans will be bold enough the governments to put in place some measures to make it easier for Africans to be able to travel. And so we've got some recommendations. We'll be sharing these recommendations with the various heads of government. We'll be sharing it with our various stakeholders, like the African Development Bank and the African Union, etc. And we hope that, they would heed to the urgent call. We've got to treat this with a sense of urgency. They would heed to the call to make Africa a visa-free continent for the benefit of every African national. And so I want to thank you for the support over the months. It's been today's 156 days. Tomorrow, by the time we arrive in Ghana, it would have been 157 days non-stop on the roads of Africa. So I call it a revolution on wheels, and certainly if we're able to do this as Africans, this would be, a game changer. I want to commend especially the governments of the Gambia, of Rwanda, of the Republic of Benin, of Kenya, and of Seychelles. These are the 5 African countries where every African national is not required to have visa before they can travel to these countries. And I believe that in the next few months to a year, a handful of African countries would also, go the way of visa-free. So the future looks great. I am extremely and exceedingly optimistic that we will get this done. But I can't do it alone with my team. Governments can't do it alone. It would have to take all Africans contributing, putting our shoulders to the wheel, being the change we want to see in Africa to make these things happen. So thank you, and see you if you're in Accra at the Independence Square tomorrow at 10 a.m. when we arrive, to address the press about our epic Pan-African journey. Until then, have a wonderful Wednesday.